Good morning, Dave Rice.
Good morning, Dave. How you doing?
Good, good.
This is Scott. Sorry, I should have said that.
Well, I can tell.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Cindy, next time we see you, we'll have to hear your latest trip.
It was fantastic, I have to say, but unfortunately, of the 6 of us that went, 5 came back with COVID. So
Ah,
that's been the gift that keeps on giving this past week. So
yes.
if I'm looking a little rough, that's why.
I
think I'm in the upward climb now. So we all, I don't know how one didn't get it, but everybody else. But at least we got through the trip. We got home before it happened. So that was good news.
That's great news. See, Mr. Estes and Mr. Frederick are on as well. Vice President Frisbee and many others have joined. So
Morning, Scott.
good morning. We appreciate you all joining us this morning.
Good
Sheriff,
morning, everybody.
good morning. Looking very quickly, it looks like we do have a quorum now. I know it's still have a few minutes before 11, but we do have a quorum with 5 members on now. I also see Member McCulca and Member Bean joined us. So we have, I think we're up to 7 now.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock. I would like to call the September 19th, 2023 Kansas Post-Secondary Technical Education Authority special meeting to order. This TEA meeting is a specially scheduled conference call meeting being held on Zoom. Please mute your microphones. TEA members, board staff, or institutional staff who have comments or questions should ask to be recognized. Everyone other than the recognized speaker should keep their microphones muted. Each time you are recognized to speak, please state your name and your title before you begin so you can be readily identified by listeners as well as observers. For each action item, I will state a motion and ask if someone will make that motion. For each motion made, I will then ask for a second. For each motion made and seconded, I will ask Susan to call roll to determine how each TEA member is voting and to announce the results of the vote. We will not have an opportunity for public comment during this meeting. We will not have an executive session during today's meeting. So moving on with our meeting, I would like to ask if there are any changes or additions to the agenda. Okay, I take the silence as a no. I would like to recognize Vice President Frisbee to lead us in a discussion regarding the Excel and CTE distributions. Vice President Frisbee.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Elaine Frisbee, Vice President for Finance and Administration with the Board of Regents. We have only one item on the agenda for you this morning, and just a little background. This is a reminder, a refresher. This is a distribution that we do once a year now. This is our 3rd year of this process. We are spacing the calculations for these distributions to the colleges on enrollments data that was sent to us this summer and certified by our presidents of the colleges on September 8th. So 11 days ago, the colleges certified their enrollment data to us for the past academic year. And based on that information, we have run the cost model or followed the instructions in the statutes for the relevant programs as to how the amounts in the tables appear before you today. We have 3 programs for state aid in front of you today. The first is Excel and CTE, what is commonly referred to as SB 155. We do have $46 million in our state funding for this program, and we have seen an uptick across the system for our enrollment. So we're happy to have that additional funding left over from prior years. We also have AOK Proviso funding to distribute today, as well as GED Accelerator. So if we could scroll down there to that first table, Excel and CTE, you'll see amounts there for each of the 2-year colleges totaling $42.5 million. That is based on their prior year's activity in high school students enrolled in SB 155 programs and courses. And there is a table at the very end. We can go over that at the end. Not every school had increases, but everyone did have participation. And based on the cost model calculations, with a 5% inflationary factor added to the enrollments, we come to $42.5 million for last year's enrollment activity. Similarly, for the AOK table, we've got just under $700,000 worth of activity. Not every college had activity in AOK, but several did. So we would hope to distribute those funds to those colleges based on their participation. The last table there, the Post-Secondary Education Performance-Based Incentives Fund, what is commonly referred to as the GED Accelerator, sends state funds to those colleges that have students earning their GED at the same time as they're earning technical certificates or badges, or they're enrolled in technical programs. We did have $83,000 worth of activity that would be an incentive payment to the schools. Unfortunately, we only have $61,868 in our fund this year. The funding for this program is a bit odd. Typically, when we get state funding, you get an appropriation for a year, and then you get another appropriation for another year, and you keep going, an annual appropriation year over year. For this particular fund, back in 2015, our agency was given $1.9 million in a transfer, which was placed in a separate fund just for this program, which we have been using year over year. And in some years, we've had in excess of $100,000 worth of incentives to pay. And there was one year, and I believe it was 2017, when the state took back $900,000 of the $1.9 million given to us originally. So now we have spent down this incentive fund. There is a statute that sets up the amounts for what incentive goes to each of the schools. We simply took what we have and prorated it down to make the activity match what we have available, so everybody is prorated at the same rate. The last table on the very last slide there, last page, is just simply an acknowledgement of the growth in Excel and CTE for headcount and student credit hours this year over last year. So in AY 2022, we had 13,712 students. And in AY 2023, we had over 15,000. So we've seen a 9.5% jump in student credit hours and an 11.3% jump in student participation. So again, not every school had that jump in participation, but overall we had a robust increase. So happy to see that. And with all that said, I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Vice President Frisbee. Any discussion here?
Yes, this is Cindy Hoover. I thought that you said it was 46 million that we had been given, but that's not the full distribution of the number that you showed us. So what happens to the delta?
The delta then remains in that fund and carries over for the subsequent year.
Okay.
So we sought that legislation years ago so that we could carry over unspent funds for when we had less activity than we needed from our funding source. So we don't give it back to the state. We retain those funds, and that's what we'll use to help fund next year's budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? Okay, then. I would accept a motion to approve the Excel and CTE distribution as presented, and then forward this item to the TEA recommendation to the board.
This is Secretary Schultz. I'll move.
Thank you. Can I get? We have a motion to approve in a second. Are there any questions or comments? Susan, can you call roll, please, for a vote?
Yes, I have a motion by member Schultz and a second by member McCulka. Member Anderson,
Yes.
member Estes,
Yes.
member Frederick, member Frederick, member Hoover,
Yes.
Chair Humphrey,
Yes.
Member Rice,
Yes.
member Bean. Member Bean. Member Clark. Chair Humphrey, I'm not sure if we have some technical difficulties, but you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes yes.
Susan, this is Ray. I was muted, so I vote yes.
And I'm not sure if we have technical difficulties with Mike Bean member Bean has just voted yes, so I believe we do have a unanimous vote and the motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next, I'd like to call on Vice President Smathers to provide us with information on Workforce Innovation Conference. Vice President Smathers.
Thank you, Chair Humphrey. I'll only take a minute very quickly. I was remiss at our last meeting and did not bring this to your attention. As a reminder, for any TEA member that wishes to attend the Workforce Innovation Conference that is the 2nd and 3rd of October in Manhattan, the TEA will pay for you to attend the conference. So if you have an interest, please let Susan Henry know, and she will get you registered. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Vice President Smathers. Now I'd like to remind everyone that our next regularly scheduled TEA meeting will be held virtually on September 28th, 2023, beginning at 10 a.m. And with no further business, I would like to call this meeting adjourned. Yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Get the heck into Dodge. See you later.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
See you, Keith. Thanks, sir. Everybody.